Students, it's review time. Let's take a look at the do now of the review of inequalities. It asks us to determine the solution set of the inequalities and represent the solution set on a number line. That first one we have to solve, actually all of them we have to solve first, and then graph them on the number line. So pause the video and see if you got that first one right. Our first step is to use inverse operations to get the x isolated by itself. I'm adding 8 to both sides. 16 and 8 is 24. Negative 8 and positive 8 are inverses, so they eliminate. My last step is to divide by a negative. I'm divided by -4, but remember what happens when you divide by negative. You flip the inequality sign. 24 divided by -4 is -6. These -4s eliminate. They divide to 1, so 1x is just x. So x is less than 6. Keep in mind we did flip that inequality sign because we multiplied or divided by a negative number. The graph to x is less than -6 is as follows. You can see I put an open circle at -6 because there's no equal sign underneath here. It's just less than, not less than or equal to, so it's not inclusive of -6. It doesn't include -6 in the solution set. So it can be any number that's below -6, -7, -8, and so on. Notice also that I scaled a little sparsely down here. I didn't put a number for every single line, but I did skip by ones every time. 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Pause the video, try this letter B, and then come back to see if you got it right. First step is the distributive property. -2 times c is -2c. -2 times 4 is -8. I still have a -1 on that left-hand side, and I have less than 3 on the right-hand side. What I'm going to do now is try to combine like terms. -8 and -1 are both numbers. They're constant, so I can combine them to -9. Now I'm going to start using inverse operations. Now that I've done my distributive property, now that I've simplified, I can start using my inverse operations. I'm going to get this 9 to the other side by adding 9 on both sides. I have -2c is less than 12. These were inverses. They eliminated each other, and 3 plus 9 is 12. Now I'm going to divide by a -2, but again, dividing by -2, I need to flip my sign. My answer as c, the variable in question here, is greater than, see I flipped my inequality, -6. So I'm going to scale my axes very similar to the one back here, and I'll put my graph down now. See, c is greater than -6, so I have an open circle on -6, no equal sign here, and I'm shading upwards to the right because it says greater than -6. All right, letter C, try this one out, then come back to see if you got it right. We're always looking for distributive property first, and looks like we have distributive property here. We did 6 times y is 6y, 6 times -2 is -12. Everything else stayed the same. Now I'm looking to see if I can simplify that right-hand side of the equation, which I can. I have two like terms, -12 and +10. Those constants can combine. And now that each side of the inequality is simplified as much as it can be, now we're going to try to move all of the variables to one side. Remember, we try to move the smallest variable to the other side, so I'm going to take this 3y and bring it to the other side using opposite operations or inverse operations. We're almost done here. Let's take this -2 and bring it to the other side. We're trying to isolate the variable y, so let's bring that -2 over to make it a +2. And then last but not least, I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides to get the y by itself, to get that y isolated, and we're going to get y and 3 on the left-hand side. Before you graph this, be careful. Let's think about it for a second here. It says that 3 is greater than y, right? 3 is greater than y, which means that between these two values, the 3 and the y is smaller, right? The 3 is greater, so the y must be smaller. Typically, when I graph an inequality, I like to see the variable first, so I'm going to just flip this around. It's not because I'm multiplying or dividing by a negative number or anything like that. I just am rewriting it in the other way. Since I'm writing it the other way, I'm going to have to change the direction of that inequality. So 3 is bigger than y, which means that y is smaller than 3. The comparison is the same. 3 is bigger than y. 3 is still bigger than y. I just wrote it in a way that I am used to so that I can graph it. Since y is less than 3, I'm going to scale my axes, including 3, and I'm also going to shade downwards. Your graph. Notice that all of these have open circles for their graphs, right? Open circle here, and open circle here, because all of these symbols are simply less than or greater than. They don't have an equal sign underneath them. If they have an equal sign, these circles would be filled in. All right, that was the do now for the lesson 5 review. Good luck studying.